Hi YouTube, this is Nurse Kristen coming at you with a bit of an update. I know it's been like maybe a week or two since I posted. I had just passed my boards, and since then it's been super crazy. I have been interviewing for jobs a lot. I think I've had like 5 job interviews since I've passed my boards, and I was offered 4 out of 5 of them, and I accepted like 3 of them. So let me just tell you the story. Okay, so as soon as I found out I passed my boards, I applied to a home health visiting nurse association or company and got hired on per diem because once I showed up for the interview, I knew a couple of the nurses that worked at the home health company that I worked at as a LPN doing nursing visits. So it was by sheer luck that I got a job with this agency with nurses that I already knew from my prior agency that I worked at as an LPN. So I'm doing that per diem. And then I interviewed with another really like a bigger visiting nurse association that's like statewide known, and interviewed with them and also got hired on per diem. So I'm due to start orientation with them on the 23rd. It's a 2-day orientation, the 23rd and 24th, and they're going to hook us up with tablets and give us like a ton of car stock. In case you don't know what car stock is in home health, it's basically all the supplies that you need to do your job, such as wound care supplies, Foley supplies, just things like that. Items that you need to do your job, gloves, obviously. So I'm really excited to do that, and that'll be per diem as well. And then I got an interview with a nursing home, skilled nursing facility in my area, and they really liked me and offered me a full-time job, nights, 11 to 7. So I did accept that job too. Like, call me crazy, but I'm going to attempt to work full-time and then do nursing visits per diem during the day. So I don't know when I'm going to sleep, but I'm going to have to try to figure that out. And then I also had an interview with a hospital, believe it or not. The local hospital called me, but they only had nights per diem available. And basically I would just be filling in holes when people call out, or just to fill in for like people going on vacation or needing some days off or whatever. So I was scared about the fact that, yeah, it's an awesome opportunity. It would have been on the med-surg floor, and it was offered to me on the spot. I interviewed, and it was offered to me on the spot. But I thought about it, and the next day I called the nurse manager that offered me the gig and told her thanks, but no thanks. Just simply because I was afraid I wouldn't get enough hours. So call me crazy. I know people are like, what? You know, you applied and got offered a position on the spot at a hospital and you said no? Yes, I did. I'm hoping I don't kick myself in the butt for it, but I did. And then I also interviewed for a hospice, full-time hospice case manager position, and I was a little disappointed. That's the only interview that I did not actually get an offer for, and it's really the one I wanted the most, because it was Monday through Friday, no nights, no weekends. It's a salaried position, which means that you're not paid like by the hour, how many hours you work. You're paid a straight salary, which means you can work as little or as much in one day or in one week as needed, and you still get paid the same salary. And obviously great benefits. So I was really bummed when I didn't get offered that job, but when asked why I didn't get offered that job, they basically said, you're a new RN, we just don't feel like you have enough experience because you have to think very autonomously in this position, and we just don't feel like you have the experience for that yet. They did offer me another interview at the hospice house. They have an inpatient hospice unit associated with that organization, but I had already gotten hired at all the jobs that I did accept, so I told them thanks but no thanks to that as well. So that's basically the gist of it. I'm so grateful and thankful that I have even gotten, you know, any interviews, let alone job offers. So yeah, 2 visiting nursing jobs per diem during the day, and then a full-time nursing home gig that I start orientation for next week, this coming week actually, full-time nights. And I just hope, like I said, I hope I'm not making a big mistake. But we're going to see. Trial and error. So that's what's going on as far as the job front. I am just so over the moon and ecstatic that I'm working as an RN. I'm like living my dream. It's kind of surreal. But that's the jobs front. Let's see. So I did say in my last video that I was going to do a little video on study tips and then why being an LPN was beneficial to me in my RN program. There really isn't much as far as studying that I did. Well, of course I studied, but I studied in my own way. I know a lot of people on here make flashcards and they take very detailed notes and they tape record their lectures and they tab their chapters in their books to correlate with tests and things like that on their syllabus. I did not do any of that stuff. I gotta tell you, like I said, I worked full time. I just didn't have the time or the energy or the inclination to be very super organized or super whatever you want to call it with my studying. Basically, all I did was I made sure that I was exposed to the material at least 3 times prior to taking my exams. So the first time I would read all my material, any assigned material that I knew was going to be lectured on, I would read. So say we had 17 med-surg chapters we had to read prior to lecture. I would make sure those 17 chapters were read. And I'm not talking about skim through. I actually read every single chapter. So that was my first exposure. Second exposure was actually during the lecture. And like I said, I didn't tape record any of my lectures. I just listened. I actively listened to the lectures. And that helped me immensely. The third exposure was when I was actually going through the chapters again in preparation for the test. So I didn't actually read through the chapters the second time, well, actually the third time for the third exposure. What I did is I just looked at the charts, looked at tables, looked at anything that was bolded or in italics, and then also anything that I needed clarification on, I looked in my ATI books. So if it wasn't very clear to me or it was confusing to me in my med-surg book or OB book or mental health book, I would seek clarification in the corresponding ATI chapters. And that helped a lot. Of course, doing NCLEX question helps too. I had a big, thick, I think I showed you guys, a big, thick Lippincott book that I used, especially toward the end of the year when I was going through integration and studying for SATs and things like that. That Lippincott book was beyond gold to me. It was so valuable in helping me prep for those tests. So that's basically it. That is how I studied and did well on most of my exams. So that's pretty much all I did, and that's honest to goodness. So that's my study tips. And then also I wanted to talk a little bit about how being an LPN did help me in my RN program. I became an LPN in 2009, September 2009, and even while I was in LPN school, I would get people that would say, okay, well, why are you even bothering going for your LPN? It's a waste of time. LPNs don't get jobs. LPNs are being phased out, blah, blah, blah. And I just had to tell myself, well, I'm doing it, first of all, because I don't have any prereqs done for an RN program, and I have to really see if I like being a nurse, and it's a good way to get your feet wet. So I just kind of ignored the naysayers and did the LPN program. And I can't tell you how valuable my LPN education was to my RN program. It was good that while I was learning the material for the RN program, it wasn't my first time hearing these things. Like, it wasn't my first time hearing about, you know, hypertension or diabetes or any of the diseases that we learned. Of course, the RN program was way more in depth and way more, it went way more into the pathophysiology of the diseases. But like I said, it wasn't my first time hearing about them, and I think that helped. So yeah, like, just let me start over with it. Just not letting it be my first exposure, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, in the RN program. Also, we got credit for being an LPN as far as having to take fundamentals. In my RN Bridge program, we didn't have to take fundamentals because it was a given. Like, the fundamentals of nursing is the fundamentals of nursing whether you're an RN or an LPN. So giving bed baths, learning sterile technique, learning how to make a bed, all those are basic whether you're an LPN or RN. So we didn't have to do a fundamentals class. We just went straight into Med Surg. That was our very first class of the year. So I really do think that being an LPN helped me. I just know it did. I know that for all of us, it was an immense help attacking this RN program. And then also being an LPN helps as far as the job search. I'm learning that, you know, they like the fact that I have almost 5 years of LPN experience, that I'm not a fresh, you know, RN grad that has no medical experience whatsoever, never worked as a CNA, never worked as an LPN, and, you know, trying to find their first RN job. I mean, I've heard of so many fresh RNs that have no medical experience that, you know, it takes them quite a while to find their first gig because obviously employers want somebody who has some type of medical background. They prefer it anyway. And I just think it's to one's advantage to have that, whether it be aide experience or LPN. And the fact that I have because in September it'll be 5 years experience as an LPN, I think really has helped me. It's not my first rodeo doing documentation. It's not my first rodeo doing injections. It's not my first rodeo doing wound care, doing a wound vac, administering meds through a PICC line for home infusion. It's just not. And I think it's really helped me, and it's been to my advantage to have nursing experience, LPN nursing experience, as, you know, prior to becoming an RN. I think that's really the reason why I've gotten all these interviews. So to all those LPNs out there who think, you know, that you know, you've been told time and time again that it's a waste of time becoming an LPN prior to getting your RN, trust me, it's not. It's very much to your advantage to become an LPN prior to bridging. Plus, like I said, whether it's due to time or to money or to just seeing if you like nursing, I mean, there's lots of advantages to becoming an LPN. I think it makes you a little bit of a more well-rounded nurse as well because you do have so much experience. And in my case, I was a home health aide. I mean, I really literally worked my way from the bottom to where I am now. I was a home health aide, became that at 21 years old, then became a CNA at 23, then got my LPN license at age 25. And now, 3 days after my 30th birthday, I got my RN license. So I think, like I said, it makes you a more enriched, I don't know, I mean, I don't want to compare apples to oranges, but to me, it just seems like I have more of an appreciation, I guess, for what everybody's roles are in the healthcare team because I've literally been like 3 or 4 different roles in the healthcare team. So that's just my 2 cents on being an LPN and how it is an advantage prior to becoming an RN. And I gave you my study tips, or not really study tips, but how I studied to make it through the program. And I'm really happy as far as the job situation, and I couldn't be more happier with how everything is going right now. So that is really it. I will give you periodic updates on how everything is going in my job. Maybe I'll do like a day in the life of a home health nurse, and then a day in the life of a day in the life of a nursing home nurse or whatever. So that is it. Like I said, I'll jump on here from time to time, and I hope that the students that are coming in the fall and these students that are continuing nursing school that were first-year nursing students last year continue to make videos because I'll still be watching. I wish you guys the best of luck, and like I said, I will be back to update you guys soon. All right? You guys have a good weekend. Bye.